Look with me in Revelation chapter 3 this morning. Wow. Wow. We were talking about this morning, I was talking about with the college age, how much our identity needs to be rooted in the right place. And wow, to sing that our identity is in God. That you can name me a lot of names of what is number one. What is number one is I'm a child of God. That's what matters more than anything else in my life. My identity is a lot of different things, but I can't draw meaning from that. I can draw meaning from being a child of God over and over for over 40 years. My mama's got me about 2 months. She got saved first. I don't know why I was so hard-headed for 2 months. I don't know. I was wondering, why didn't I get saved the same day? I mean, come on. But 2 months, I'll take it because it had changed my life forever and ever. Our identity is so important, church, and the world wants to define you. Do you hear me this morning? It wants to tell you who you are. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to the church. I will tell you who you are, and I will tell you who you can be. I'm going to tell you, I don't want to be who they are. I don't see the joy. I don't see the satisfaction there. But in this place, I see something real. Something moving that's beyond human wisdom or imagination. And that's where I want my identity to come from. And I want us, as we looked at several issues that can stand in our way between the Lord, and I want to finish up those 2 churches this morning. Not because I want to say that you're like Sardis or you're like Laodicea. That is not my desire today. Jesus spoke to those churches, and what really comes out to me is that 5 out of these 7 churches were messed up. They were messed up. But Jesus didn't abandon them. They had gotten off track, but Jesus didn't cut them off. They were not all that He wanted them to be, but He didn't leave them. He came to them and said, I'm speaking to you. I'm not talking in general. I'm talking to you. And as a person who needs the Lord to talk to me, I don't know about you, but I need the Lord to talk to me. I need Him to straighten me out. I need Him to get on my case. I need Him to discipline me. I need Him to show me where that right path is. I need that. I'm glad for a God that says, I am here for you. I will help you. I will be with you. Because there are forces we saw last week that come against us. The world would corrupt us. The world would try to put us in their mold. They've been trying to do it since the early days. It wasn't 100 years after Jesus left the planet and the world said, here, I got a Jezebel for you. Here's some Nicolaitans for you. Here's some other Baal. Remember Baal? Let's do that. Let's just make all religions one and let's just make it. But you can't. Jesus didn't come say, I'm like Muhammad. I'm like Allah. I'm Jesus. I am the way. I am the truth. I am the life. There is no multiple. There is only me. So there's no mixing that. And the world will try always to mix that. But they won't lose power. We will. You understand what I'm saying? They will not lose power. We will. Because we'll be turning on the light in order to embrace darkness. That's not where we want to be. These things, however, these 2 churches really scare me even more than I guess the others. I know there's forces at work out there. They trouble me sore. But they don't bother me as much as these 2. Let me mention just these 2 verses to you. These 2 churches in you. To the angel of the church of Sardis, this is Revelation chapter 3, verse 1. These are the words of Him who holds the 7 spirits of God and the 7 stars. I know your deeds. He knows them intimately. You have a reputation for being alive. But you were dead. Let me move to Laodicea. Because I'm not getting into all the ins and outs here. But I want you to just see the 2 points that I'm making here. So beginning with verse 15 of chapter 3. To the church at Laodicea, I know your deeds. I know how you live. I know what you're doing. I know how you are. And this is what he says. He says, you are neither cold nor are you hot. Now, this has often been described as you're not on fire for God, and I understand that mindset. I do. But it kind of really doesn't fit with what He tells them to do later. He doesn't say get on fire. He says to buy gold, refined in the fire. Buy what really matters. Buy what is the eternal worth, not the temporary stuff that they were obviously full of, because the Laodicean church was a very rich church. It had a lot of wealth. And also there, they had hot springs there. Kind of like Georgia, you know, they had the hot springs. So you can also see the cold and the hot. Cold is very refreshing. Cold water was not common. Cold is refreshing to the spirit. The hot can be for medicinal purposes. It can be for healing for the body. But these people, they were neither refreshing anybody, nor were they healing anybody. They were just kind of stuck in the middle there. They were just there. And putting these two things together, what really struck me and what really sobers me is what we can become accustomed to. What we can get used to. If I'm dead, I want to know it. If I'm lukewarm, I want to know it. Sardis, the dead church, still met for church. Sardis, the dead church, still worked as a church. Sardis, as a dead church, still went about all the machinations of church. But Jesus said, you're dead. Why didn't they know that? It took Jesus coming for them to know that. And the Laodicean church, they knew we've got plenty of money, we've got nice clothes, we don't have problems, so we are immediately blessed and we don't need anything. And God says, you have no idea. You are naked. You are impoverished. You are corrupted. You are so needy, poor, that you don't even understand. But they did not understand. They had become accustomed to where they were and were not challenged in any way to be more than who they were. I don't know who their pastors were. They should have been fired. They didn't have pastors to fire back then. But it took Jesus coming to the church to tell them there's more. There's more. And can I tell you, from what the Lord has done today, there is more than what we have at this very moment. Let me tell you, there's a worship that's so good, it'll reach down into the depths of your soul and it'll give you a hug, it'll give you love like you've never experienced in any other type of form, of fashion of love at all. It is so rich, so deep. In fact, you were created to live in this forever, because I'm convinced heaven's not going to be a new thing. Heaven confirms the thing that's already here. So if you don't enjoy worship this morning, you better make some more eternal plans, because this is what the church is going to be doing forever. We're going to be glorifying Him. We're going to be worshiping Him. And I'm going to tell you what, you better watch out, because I may not have quite felt like running that out like Brother Gerald, but when I see Jesus and when I'm around the throne, all bets are off. You better watch out, because this white boy don't know how to dance, but I certainly will do something for him. More than just lift my hands, I'm going to do something extra for him, because he will confirm what he's already done. He'll bring the almost to full completion, and I'm going to worship. That's the worship that He's offering. But there's also, in God, there's a service that's so fulfilling that it doesn't feel like it's service. It doesn't feel like I've got to do this. It feels like I want to do this. I want to serve. I want to wash that person's feet. I want to be there for them. It's not a drudgery. It is a privilege to serve. There is a service. There's a wisdom of God that is so deep. It'll challenge you, it'll stretch you, and it'll leave you slack-jawed, kind of like that truck commercial. You know, the truck commercial where they put the steps down on the back of the truck. That's a cool truck. Booger wants a truck like that. So if anybody wants to buy her a truck with the steps out on the tailgate, help yourself. I will not stop you at all. I'll keep it warm until she gets it. But there is a wisdom in God so deep. You're not going to be bored. You're not going to be upset. You're not going to say, this is so ignorant. This is so nothing. This is so shallow. It's so deep that you got to get into the middle of it. And it's so deep, you got to swim across it. It's a wisdom that is bigger than the heavens and the earth itself. That is what is in Jesus Christ in God. There is a fellowship that comes in Him that is so immense. You don't become community, you become family. I'm looking at my family today. Not many of you look like me. Not many of you share my last name. But we're family. We're family. Why? Because whom the Son sets free. He don't ask them to come in individually. But like the jailer, okay, this is so good. How about for me in my house? How about for everybody? Everybody I know. Let's just all come in at the same time. Let's not trickle in one by one. Let's en masse come to Him and be the family of God. That can't be done in the world. Can't be done. You put yourself around hobbies and situations of political spectrums and cultural designations. But when God brings us all together, He brings every tribe, every nation, every tongue, every color, every personality. He brings both genders. He brings everybody in and makes us one. We are not divided. We are one. The church may divide as sin takes hold, but the body of Christ is not divided. It is one, and it only has one head. It is Jesus Christ the Lord. That is what God has provided. And I want you to know that font of blessing that has absolutely started flowing because Sardis and Laodicea found the things that will stop it. They found the things that will keep it from flowing in their lives. Sardis, what do I see in a church that does stuff and it has a reputation? They talked about it. That's Sardis church. That's a good church. That's Sardis church. Those good people. And they're not talking about a building. It was a group of people. Those Sardis people, they're really active. God said, I see. I see who you really are. You're dead. So to present that you're just who you used to be when you're really not. That's the worst form of traditionalism I think there can be. Traditions are good. It's good for us to come and worship on Sunday. It's good for us to do the things the Bible tells us to do. But there is not only tradition, there's traditionalism where the thing itself becomes our life rather than Jesus who is our life. Because Jesus says, I don't care about your structure. I don't care what's got you to where you are. All I care about is you're not where you are, where you need to be with me. With me. He says you need to come to me. You need to strengthen up what I have given you. You need to listen to what you've been taught, what you've been handed to. That's what you need to build upon. That'll bring life back to your deadness. Because even in the midst of the Sardis church, he said there's some things that's not quite dead yet. And you need to build on those things. You need to grow out of those things. Traditionalism is a problem. And I believe, yes, the church is shrinking, but that's because I think all the fakers are getting out. See, there's no benefit anymore. It used to be a benefit. You used to come to church and you could do business while you're at church. You know, here's that one. I get business done here, business done here. Because you got a community involvement, so it becomes a communal event. Jesus says, my body is not for your human business. My body is for my business. It's for my work and it's for my glory. So all those things will be separated. And now they are leaving in droves. As Paul says, they were never really with us. They really weren't with us. They may have impacted our numbers, but they were never really with us because they never had the heart. They had the tradition, but they didn't have the Jesus. And unless Jesus inhabits your tradition, that tradition needs to chunk it out by the Lord because it means nothing. It is nothing. Jesus is life. Jesus means for His church to be alive and not dead. Active in your families. Active in our communities. It wasn't Jesus that showed up at Applebee's this past week. It wasn't Jesus' work that caused a relationship to split and that violence happened. That's not Jesus, but that's the way the world wants it. They're begging to have it their way, and God says, there you go. Go ahead and have it. And maybe in your poverty you'll realize, yeah, we need that God. Yeah, we need that one to keep us safe, even in our eateries, even in our commonalities. We need it in Him. Even our American traditions are falling away. But what is true can never be shaken, can it? God said, I'm going to shake this world. but only what is true will remain. Do not be discouraged, and do not be tempted to get into a form of a ritual or a tradition without life in it, because your deeds don't matter if they're not done for Him. And it's really a cheap substitute, going through the motions rather than a true meaningful interaction. You don't really want that, even though it is easy indeed. I thought about something this past week. Miss Jean meets, I think, a couple of times a year at the fellowship building with her Duke employees. Now, I don't get together with my employees. I get together with y'all, but 30 years ago, those people are where they are. But I thought about 30 years ago. Last year was my 30th high school reunion. Yeah, I admit it. I don't remember hearing a word about it. Tradition is, did we graduate the same year? Yeah. But nobody is connected enough that we feel the need to even be together anymore. Just don't need it anymore. The tradition is there, but there's no life to it. So it didn't happen. And then I'm so struck by Miss Jean. It's years. I won't ask you to tell you how many years it's been since Duke. But it's been years and years and years. And yet they still come together. Yet they still care about each other. I go to prayer breakfast and I hear from Brother Bobby, how's Miss Jean doing? I mean, you see her twice a year. They're connected. Something is greater than Duke. Something's greater than the work they've done together. There's a relationship that ties them together and keeps them together, even though the job that brought them together is no longer functional. I don't think any of them want to go back to the job, but they want to keep together with each other. That's what Jesus wants. Don't come to me for the tradition. Come to me because I am your life, and life will spring forth in the greater life, creativity, greater meaning than ever before. But that's Sardis. That's enough of that. How about Laodicea, the rich church that didn't need anything? They were too unneeded. It sounds weird, doesn't it? But they were. We don't need anything. Jesus says yes. And that especially, I think it's always appealed to Americanism because God has blessed us. I don't care what the news says. God has blessed us. God has lifted us up because He says He lifts up nations and He puts nations down. God does that. We have been extremely blessed. Maybe too blessed. Because if we don't need Him, we're in trouble. If we don't need Him, we're in trouble. I have a feeling that the Christians in China, they might just outdo us. Because if they're going to be a Christian, they have to be. They have to put it all on the line. And so they're growing, we're decreasing. They live under a system where literally the government watches your every move and stops and controls your movement if you get out of line. Versus us who are so free that we're afraid to go out of our doors. Boy, what kind of freedom is that? When we don't need Him, then we are left to forces that we cannot comprehend. The last time I checked, there's somebody over this world. He's called the Prince. And He's called the power of the air. If you think you're going to step into His court and be better and be safer and be more satisfied, you, biblical language speaking, you are a fool. Because there's nobody that will set you free like Jesus does. Paul says, I am a slave to Jesus Christ and I rejoice to wear His chains. I am glad to suffer for Him. I'm happy when I'm suffering. You couldn't have stood Paul when he's blessed because he was so happy when he was suffering. That's the power of Jesus Christ. He says, I want more. I want more of it. I want the power that brought Him out of the grave, but I want the power of His sufferings too. I want to know those sufferings. I want to be so close to Jesus, you can't slide a piece of paper between us. I want to know Him, and nothing is greater than that. I need Him. My righteousness, my stuff, it's all filthy rags. I'm starting square one. My life is hidden in Christ, and I don't live outside of Him. He needed Him. And we still quote Him. It sounds like the church of Laodicea didn't understand that at all. Independent pursuits do not satisfy. Riches do not satisfy, but Jesus truly satisfies. I'm coming to a close here, but I want to leave this with you. Top 10 life regrets. And these are not Christian regrets, but I want to read these to you because here's some real people that they listed all these things at the end of their life. Here's what I regret. Did they live? Yes. Did they make choices every day? Yes. Were they free to make all those choices? Yes. But listen to the needs that can never be satisfied because their life is almost over. Number one, I wish I had lived a life true to myself. Not the life others expected of me. I wish I hadn't compared myself to others. I wish I hadn't worked so much and wish I'd made more time for my family. I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings more. I wished I'd allowed myself to love, be loved, and say I love you. I wish I'd stayed in touch with my friends. I wish I'd pursued my dreams and aspirations, persevered and kept going. I wish I discovered my purpose earlier. I wish I'd saved more money for retirement. I wish I'd taken more risks and more chances, traveled more, and experienced more cultures. I wish I had realized contentment and happiness are a choice. It's all about your perspective and attitude. I wish I had taken better care of myself physically, emotionally, and spiritually. I wish I had touched more lives and inspired more people. Jesus gives you an opportunity to satisfy all the longings of your heart. All of them. He gives you a picture. He gives you a framework. And He gives you a path to walk on to accomplish these things. So again, I hate to reference Paul again, but when he got to the end of his life, I don't hear regrets. What I hear is, I fought. I finished. He was ready to meet Jesus. Nothing left to do. None. He needed Him, but ended up being more fulfilled than all of these, probably, who had the riches of their lifetime and saw greater things than Paul could imagine in the earthly world. But they didn't know the fulfillment that he had in Him. Those are dangers. I don't want any of you to come to the end of your life and say, I regret being so lifeless, being so traditionalistic, that there was no life in me. There's no fulfillment here as I look over my life. I don't want that for you, and neither does Jesus. He wants to be your all in all, and He wants to fulfill your all. But I love, as I ask you to bow your heads, I love these scriptures. Not only is Jesus here, but He gives them counsel. Most of the time He says, repent. You repent. Hold on to what you have. Hold on to it. Keep going. It'll keep growing. It'll keep meaning something to you. But He always asks them to do something different. He didn't just say, okay, I'm going to come and straighten you out. Really, if you boil down His choices that He gives them, it's make a choice. Who are you going to serve? Where are you going to put your energies? Who are you going to make Lord of all? Who are you going to do it? Jesus said, it's me. Albert Edward Day said, we are an undisciplined people. Therein lies the reason for much of the dearth of spiritual insights and serious lack of moral power. Discipline means I have a goal, I have a means to that goal, and I will work toward finishing that goal. That's discipline. That's confining yourself to what matters to you, whether it's physical or financial or emotional or what. That's discipline to see it accomplished. That's our problems. More than any other problem you can lay on the devil of the world, our problems is that we have not set the end in sight in our daily walk today. That's what Stephen Covey says. He says, live with the end in sight. What do you want to be when it ends? How do you want to feel when it ends? How do you want to find yourself when it ends? Do you want to be like Jesus promises? If you want to be like Jesus promises, you've got to grab hold to Him today. Because you can't ask Him the day before you leave and expect Him to do all that work in 24 hours. It's today. That's why today's the day of salvation. The day's the day to make the change. The day's the day to, okay, I'm narrowing my focus to the goal. And it's possible in every church. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Jesus said the same words. They are the hope today. They are the excitement that I have today. He says, to him who overcomes. Let me say that again. To him who overcomes. Because it doesn't matter what state the church is in. It doesn't matter how many's compromised. It doesn't matter how many's lost. It doesn't matter how many's dead. It doesn't matter how many don't need God anymore. It doesn't matter. Because there are those who's going to overcome those feelings. They're going to overcome those struggles. They're going to overcome those barriers. They're going to overcome them because they're going to grab hold of Jesus and say, in Jesus, I am more than an overcomer. There's nothing that's going to stop me from accomplishing what God has purposed for me to do. There are overcomers everywhere. I want you and I to be among that company. The overcomers of this generation. It's up to you and me. He says, I'm here. Oh, he showed up today. I'm here. Keep your eyes on him. Focus your attention on him.